Okay, good morning and welcome to this club leadership seminar. This was formerly known as the District Assembly, but they have officially changed the name. I am Jen Dresser, our District 5520 Learning Facilitator. And before we do anything, I'm going to put a poll up. I would like to know, how are you feeling today? So hopefully that's popping up on your screen. The options are great, good, okay, not so great, better once the coffee, tea, other beverage, or whatever soaks in. All right, good. Vast majority is feeling great. Nobody's feeling not so great. Glad to hear that. And thank you very much for participating. So today we're going to talk to you about why you should want a healthy and functioning club board. It not only protects your club, but it can also help your club achieve its goals. Later, we'll go into breakout sessions to focus on some specific club roles. And a note on the wrap up, the breakout groups are likely to be different length discussions because we have different populations in each breakout room. So coming back to the main room at the end is optional. I will be here and we would like to hear your reflections if you would like to join us. But if your breakout room ends up being particularly short or you have some other commitment, it's not required, but we will miss you, just to make that clear. With regard to Zoom protocols, please turn your camera on if you're willing and able, and please mute yourself unless you're asking a question. And as I've mentioned several times, if you can change your name by clicking the three dots in the upper right-hand corner to show your title and club, that would be great. And now, a quick message from our governor, Tom Simon.
Well, thank you, Jen, for the introduction. And good morning, everybody. I just want to thank you all for taking your time this morning to be here at what's no longer called the District Assembly. I just learned that this morning, Jen, from you. I didn't know that they changed the name to Club Leadership Seminar. That's great. Uh, this gathering is really about our club leaders, about you, about board members, about change makers, whether you're serving in the capacity of president, treasurer, or some other position, you're the driving force behind Rotary's impact in your community. And so I'm glad you're here to help not only learn about what tools are available, but how to use them. So this year's Rotary theme is Unite for Good. And there's really no better example than all of us being here together to learn how to uh, be better Rotarians, do good work in our communities, and to come together to learn and share and grow, and especially to share with each other. It's really going to be beneficial if we can all ask questions and contribute our own experiences and recognize that everybody is a part of the learning process. There's a facilitator, but learning really comes from each of us as individuals, caring enough about our work in Rotary to become better at it. So let's see, today's an opportunity to get equipped, and not just with information, but with inspiration to learn something new. So do ask questions, do connect with each other, do leave here ready to serve with even more clarity, clarity and confidence. And thank you for stepping up for leadership. I know many of you have stepped up over and over again, and we truly appreciate it. And thank you for it. Also, for those that can't be here, presidents, we have a lot of presidents on the line today. Please share this recording with your board. You might even consider having a board meeting devoted to this seminar. Not everybody can be here, I understand that, but we have an opportunity through the magic of Zoom and to share this with those that couldn't be. So thanks again for stepping up into leadership. Thank you for being Rotary. Thank you for being Rotarians and for bringing our Rotary values to life. And thank you for choosing Unite for Good. Back to you, Jen.
All right, thanks, Tom. That was great. So now we'll dig into the function of the Rotary Club Board of Directors. So, what would you do if a member was accused of misconduct by a member of the public? Or your club wanted to change its meeting format that it had had for years and years, and you expected pushback? What if your club was considering termination of a member for some unfortunate circumstance, or one of your board decisions were challenged? In situations like this, things can get really confusing and messy. And without clear steps, your board can get stuck, unsure how to respond, risking either acting too hastily or not at all. Your members might lose confidence, rumors could spread, and it could end up harming not just the person involved, but the entire club's credibility, including, depending on the situation, it could get out to the public. So, today we're going to talk about the fact that a healthy club board can help protect you in situations like these and also help your club thrive. So, let's also talk a moment honestly about some common challenges our clubs face. Here's three examples. First, is your club missing deadlines? If that rings a bell, you're definitely not alone. Deadlines can slip when we're juggling too much or we're not aligned effectively as a team, as a club. Second, are your projects falling behind or not getting completed? That's often a sign of deeper issues with planning, engagement, or maybe just burnout. And I think a lot of us have been there. And finally, are members leaving without really saying why? It's tough when people quietly disengage, and even tougher if we don't have clear feedback from them. And these questions aren't about assigning blame at all. They're about opening the door to reflection and recalibration and solutions. So I'd love to hear your thoughts later when we get to the discussion portions. Which of these things hit hardest for you? But before we do that, before we move to the next slide, there's time for another poll. Okay, let me get here. Okay, so for all these things that I've just gone through in terms of challenges, I have faced a challenge like one of those listed, or I expect to in my club. And this is completely anonymous, by the way. Okay, give it one more minute for everybody to participate. Yeah, and the vast majority is we're all facing these challenges for sure. And that's why we're talking about club board function today and leadership. So you can see the results here, 82% feel that same way. So why does it matter if the board's actually working well or not? Well, it's the difference between steering a sleek speedboat like this one or keeping up with bailing out the water from your life raft. That's really the difference. And clubs really don't fail overnight. They come undone little by little. And it's every decision that's skipped and every conversation that doesn't happen. So today we're going to talk about how your board isn't just a requirement on paper. It's your club's safeguard, your compass, and your legacy. So let's start by defining the roles that make up a Rotary Club board. You'll see some familiar positions here: president, president-elect, immediate past president, secretary, and treasurer. But beyond the titles, each role holds a specific piece of the club's success. The president sets the vision and tone, and the president-elect should be actively preparing to lead and stand in as needed for the president. The secretary keeps the club records organized, and way more than that, as you'll hear from Donette in the breakout. And the treasurer safeguards our finances and reputation. The standard Rotary Club Constitution requires a club bylaws to include Article 2, which defines your board, and the officers listed above are required, but your club's board may have additional members, such as the vice president, president nominee, sergeant at arms, or other directors, and you just need to define that in your club's bylaws. So now, next poll. How would you rate the function of your club board from 0, not functioning at all, to 10, doing well? And let's see, hold on one second. It's not letting me launch. So if you don't, oh, I see what, hold on, sorry. Technical challenges. Let's try that again. You should see it on your screen now. How would I rate the function of my club board from 0 to 10? Again, this is anonymous. And when you think about the function of your club board, think about the roles that are on the screen. Are those things happening? And are your members in working with your engaged with your leadership team and they're excited? All those things. Okay, looks like we have just about everybody. So here are the results. So actually that's pretty good. Like most of the responses are near the top, but we certainly have quite a bit of opportunity for improvement, I think, for everybody. So that's really good. So thank you so much for participating in that. If you had to boil down what it means to serve on a Rotary Club board into 6 core responsibilities, this is what they would be: strategic leadership, financial oversight, operational management, membership engagement, officer support, and governance. And all of these really do matter. If we lose sight of one, like no goals or a budget that nobody's watching, the ripple effects can hit the whole club. So it's kind of like a table with one shaky or missing leg. Everything gets a little unstable. And that's why strengthening each area really does matter. And you might be saying, well, I don't do all those things. My club doesn't do all those things and we're fine. And that might be true. A club can go for a long while with certain areas being weak, but you'll be a much more vibrant club if your areas are strong. And it's possible you're just on the edge of a disaster that you don't know about. So let's talk about the first area, strategic leadership. It isn't about just making a list of goals. It's about making sure those goals actually mean something to your club. So let's take a moment to think about that. What do your members care about right now? What is your community asking for? Is your board pushing toward a purpose or just doing things because that's how they've always been done? You have the chance to lead, to set a path that fires people up and leaves something lasting behind. All right, and next poll. So why is it important to elect your officers before December 31st? And this one, you can choose more than one answer, or at least you should be able to, the way I set it up. But there's the 4 choices for those on the recording. It's a bylaw requirement. It gives your incoming leaders time to prepare. It supports smooth transitions, and it aligns with district and Rotary International timeline. Okay. Answers are coming in. 80% there. Wait for it. Wait for it. All right, we'll close it there. And actually, the correct answer to this one, the best answer, is all these things. So you're all doing great. Everybody picked at least one. So congratulations. You definitely got that one right. But it's all of those items. It is a bylaw requirement. So Rotary Standard Club bylaws specify that clubs must hold their annual elections before December 31st. It does give your incoming leaders time to prepare. So early elections allow your president-elect and board to plan, build their teams, and attend district training sessions or district learning sessions. It supports smooth transitions. So when the officers are elected on time, outgoing leaders can mentor their successors, share insights, and wrap up any responsibilities. And it aligns with district and Rotary International timelines. So districts need officer information early to coordinate training, communication, and support. And this is actually, today is a good example. I probably should have had this assembly sooner. It should have been toward the end of last Rotary year to prepare you for this year. And what I've learned, thank you, Sebastian, for bringing this to my attention. In the Learning Center, the treasurer courses are currently locked because Rotary International is making some updates. So just that's another reason to make sure you have your officers in place and you attend. We have the trainings at the right time so that it all aligns with that timeline. Next area is financial oversight. And this one is often undervalued until it's too late. So boards approve budgets, but do they truly monitor income and spending? Is your club up to date on legal filings like the IRS 990 that all of our clubs have to file every year? Financial health is about sustainability and trust. And fundraising is a board responsibility to manage, not just one person in the club. Think about what could happen if you're receiving sponsor dollars and then your sponsors ask how the funds are being used and you can't answer that question. What would that look like? When it comes to operational management, boards aren't just policymakers, they're coordinators too. Do your events run smoothly? Are committee efforts synchronized or are they siloed? When something's going wrong at the club level, it's almost always traceable back to overall execution, and that's the board responsibility to make sure that it's happening effectively. For membership, and we're going to hear a lot more from Kathy Williams on this later, a thriving club begins with belonging. So what are we doing to make sure each member feels seen, valued, and engaged? The board sets the culture. Are your meetings welcoming and fun, or are they just procedural? Membership growth isn't about recruitment and just bringing in new people all the time. It's also about retention and making sure the members you have want to stay. You need to find out what your members want and what they find meaningful or enjoyable. Supporting club officers is the next area. And this photo right there, that's a cautionary tale. That's what happens when you don't support your club officers. So officers need clarity, resources, and encouragement. Is your board checking in with each other and with the other leaders in your club? Are you mentoring future leaders? Are you finding out if there are other members who would like to take on a leadership role in the future? A board that supports its officers multiplies its effectiveness across the club. And last, but definitely not least, is governance and compliance. And this slide and this topic might be considered boring, but definitely don't ignore it. Governance is what protects your club legally and ethically. So you want to make sure you're having board meetings regularly, you're announcing the time and the place to your club. Definitely make sure you file your minutes. You want to make sure you're electing your officers by December 31st. If you have an event, you want to make sure you're covered by insurance by filling out that certificate of insurance before the event. And most importantly, uphold Rotary's youth protection and anti-harassment policies. And this is not an exhaustive list. These are just some of the ones that I get concerned about because I hear about them being challenges from time to time. So these are just a short list of reminders of some of the most important ones. And yes, that's a very good point, Donnette. The district does not keep a copy of your constitution and bylaws. And actually, you may be surprised, Donnette, I have a poll question on that coming up. So stay tuned for more discussion about bylaws. But thank you so much for that mention. Okay, so one moment. Okay, so if something serious happens, and your board hasn't acted, it could get to the point where the district or even Rotary International would step in, and that is not somewhere we want to be. So we want to make sure our club boards are functioning in a healthy way. They're doing all the things that they need to do to protect against that kind of scenario. Okay, so let's talk about what can actually go wrong. These are some things that have happened in our own district's past. So in one case, there was a club that didn't monitor their dues. They didn't really worry about collecting them. They kept members on the books who hadn't paid in years, and they eventually ran out of funds and they had to merge with another club to survive. In another case, the board never double checked that the treasurer was actually doing the job. The treasurer was a really nice person, and they said everything was filed properly with the IRS every year, but it was actually discovered the 990 hadn't been filed in several years. And that particular club could have been liable for over $35,000 in penalties. They did self-disclose, and luckily those penalties were avoided. In another club, there were events scheduled without board oversight, leaving them potentially uninsured and exposed. And speaking of insurance, I think I gave the answer already earlier, but does anyone know what you have to do with respect to our insurance before you have an event? If you can go ahead and put that in the chat. Any ideas on what you should do? Oops. Definitely want to keep that record of the event in your board minutes. Anyone else have any ideas? You want to make sure you fill out that certificate of insurance and that those instructions are emailed to your club officers every year. There's a login, a username and password, and you can go in and fill out their certificate. Okay, great. Yes, and your board must approve them. Thank you so much for the comments. Okay, so what can we learn from these real cases? The board does have a very important role, and it's not just a ceremonial one. The board must act, communicate, document, and lead. So don't wait for problems to solve themselves. They definitely won't. Can you raise your hand if you've ever had a problem solve itself on your club board? Anyone? I don't think we're going to get many hands where it solves. You might get one or two. Maybe maybe you've been lucky, but generally they don't solve themselves. And a functioning board is the difference between thriving, barely surviving, and then even club failure. But you're not on your own. Let's talk about what's in your toolbox as a club board member. So first and foremost, start with the governance documents. These are Rotary International's governance documents that are on rotary.org. And everything goes back to those. They define the boundaries, responsibilities, and protections that guide everything we do. And I'm just going to show you what that site looks like. So here's a screenshot. So you can see it's on myrotary.org under knowledge and resources. And I will send a copy of these slides after the session, and it has the link in there. But you can see constitution bylaws. The recommended Rotary Club bylaws are very key. Your club bylaws should be based on these. So they do most of the work for you. Okay. The next resource you have is your own club's constitution and bylaws. And as I mentioned before, those are based on Rotary's governance documents, but they're updated to how your club actually operates. So here's that poll I mentioned. Do you know where your bylaws are, and are they up to date? Yes, I know where they are and they're up to date. Yes, I know where they are, but they are not up to date. No, I don't know where they are, but I think they're up to date. Or no, I don't know where they are and they're probably not up to date. And again, bylaws are really important. What I'm trying to have as a takeaway from the session, bylaws help you when things go wrong. So it is really important to know where they are, know that they're up to date. And we'll just give everybody a couple more seconds to respond. Okay, that's a good number. Thank you all for participating. And you can see pretty good amount. About half of us know where our bylaws are and they're up to date, which is awesome. And then we've got some opportunity for some of our clubs also, which is not a surprise at all.
Jen,
Yes.
there's a question in the chat if you can clarify the difference between the bylaws and the Constitution.
That's a great question, David. I did not research that particular one in advance, so I don't want to guess. I mean, the way I think about it, but I would ask others to jump in. I think about the bylaws as kind of how you operate, like it talks about voting requirements, who's on your board, that kind of thing. And the Constitution, I believe, is kind of the definition of your club. But does anybody else have any kind of addition to that in case I got that wrong?
I can share a little bit.
Please.
For one thing, the Constitution is established by Rotary International, and the only change you can make is where and when you meet. Everything else is standard throughout the Rotary world. The bylaws there's certain things that have to be in there, but you have much more flexibility on how you function as a unique Rotary club.
Thank you, Tom. And I think that illustrated a good point. I should have brought this disclaimer up at the beginning of the session. Let me just manage expectations here. I am not an expert on every single topic, but we have great resources throughout the district and we know who to ask. So that was perfect, Tom. Thank you so much for stepping in on that question. And David, any additional questions on that topic? Seems like we're good. Great. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so the next resource that you have is My Rotary. And the last time I had a little technical trouble running the report yesterday, but I think the last time I checked, and Donette, you might know off the top of your head, but I think only about half our district has My Rotary accounts. It's probably higher in our leadership or club leadership probably have My Rotary accounts, but you do have to set up an account. And when you go in, you would log in first here in the upper right-hand corner at myrotary.org. And then my favorite resource, there's so many resources, but my favorite resource is the Learning Center, which is under Knowledge and Resources when you come in to this area. And I'm sure, yeah, and Donette doesn't know the percentage, but I know we have lots of opportunities for folks to get that account. And please do, because there's so much there. And then lastly, you have your district committees and your leaders, whether for finance, membership, youth protection, service. We are here to support and guide what you're doing. So please do reach out. And I want to tell you where to find who you might be looking for. So if you go to our district site, which is rotary5520.org, and currently, if you go to the resources dropdown, you can click on the org chart here. And I'm actually going to start at the bottom of the org chart, the way it's laid out now, because your assistant governor, in most cases, if you have a question, they are a great place to start because they may already have the answer. They have familiarity with your club, but if they don't know the answer, they know who to ask. And this is just a partial list. The full list can be found on the website, but a lot of us are here today, as you can see, like Mark, and this needs to be corrected. Mark is now a lieutenant governor. But we've got, there it is. I didn't notice that yesterday. So you're on there twice, Mark. Thank you so much. And Bianca and Veronica and so on. So thank you, all the assistant governors and lieutenant governors that have joined today. In another section on that same site, you get to see the district officers and directors. And again, this is just a partial list, but you can see a lot of our breakout leaders, Donette, Kathy, Meredith, myself, are all there. A lot of these folks are present today, like Bob and Jermaine and others that I'm sure I haven't seen in the long attendee list. So these are folks that you can reach out to when you have a specific topical question. And then, of course, we always have our district governor line, which Tom is our district governor this year. Jeff will be next year, Laura the year after that. Sonny Kellerman is our district vice governor and past district governor. Yasser is our immediate past district governor. And then Zella is Tom's operations manager. So tons of great resources on that org chart. So let's wrap this up. The board is the backbone of the Rotary Club. And when it is strong, the club is strong. And your leadership matters, not just for today's events, but for next year's members as well. Your attention to detail, your consistency, and your courage to act shape what Rotary looks like in your community. And you are definitely not alone. All those resources that I went through are available to you. So now, last poll for this section. And the question is, how helpful was this part of the session? Did you learn anything? So I learned something new and useful. It's a good refresher, not much new. Had a few takeaways, didn't quite hit the mark, or not sure how to apply what we talked about today. Okay, just leave it for a couple more, leave it open for a couple more seconds. Great. Thank you for participating. Looks like a lot of you learned something new. So thank you so much for the feedback, and for those that it was a refresher or had a few key takeaways, feel free to email me afterward if you have any suggestions on other things you'd like to see. I definitely want to incorporate that. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you for your attention on this topic and for the work that you do in your club and in leadership. So let's open it up for discussions. I want to hear your reflections, questions, and insights. I do want to just share a reminder that this session is being recorded. So if you have a question that might involve a specific challenge in your club that might involve sensitive information or individuals and you don't want to share it with the entire district, maybe feel free to reach out to the leaders I mentioned earlier to have that discussion offline. And you want to start with your assistant governors. But for any general feedback, questions, reflections, I definitely want to hear those now. So if you can take yourself off mute and you can use the raise hand function or just physically raise your hand. And Jeff, if you can help me look for folks that have questions.
You want to stop sharing?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Hey, Jan, I do have a question. CNFS Central, Rotary Club, how are you guys? Good morning. I haven't looked deeply, but if you can just guide me where I could find the certificate of insurance.
Yes, I will forward that message after that came from the insurance company. Because they have a link to it. And then you log in, and so I'll forward that to you. In fact, I'll forward it to the entire distribution list just so everybody has that, because you want to make sure you have that filled out ahead of your event. And they have nice help videos on there too, explaining how the process works. So, yep, I will share that. Thank you, Claudia.
James has a question.
Great. Hey, James.
Hey, and not really a question, just some feedback. So thanks for reminding me about the bylaws thing. That's been something I've been trying to dig down. But I actually, got the bylaws up, and it helped me remind me to get on my board that we need to go through and update them. It's been a few years, so
Awesome.
Already making some improvements from this meeting.
That's great. Thank you so much. And if your clubs have Club Runner, like my club has a subscription, a separate club subscription to Club Runner, keeping them in your documents section on Club Runner is a great place to keep them. But you might not have a subscription, so that you might want to look at other I'd recommend an electronic location.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. We use Google Drive, and so I just have like a central repository that I kind of organize it by year, and then like have sort of a central area, so like the most current information will be all in one place.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I did see George's hand up. Jeff, did you see anybody before George? George, I'm not trying to put you off.
I didn't.
But go ahead, George.
And I'm sorry, did you want us to ask just any questions that we had, regardless of whether well, anyway, the question is, I have a club that wanted to know that if you're a small club and you have a foundation, how do you, and you're supposed to have separate boards for the club and the foundation. And so if you don't have enough members to have completely separate boards, is there a solution to that?
I see Bob Barnard nodding his head. Bob, did you want to comment on that, or am I putting you on the spot? You're on mute. Okay. Yeah, he's saying no, I don't want to. Sorry, Bob. So I had heard a little bit about this in another discussion, and the recommendation was you do have to have two separate boards. However, there can be some overlap, is my understanding, but you want the majority of your board for the foundation to be not board members of your club, so that you make sure you have distinct views. So if anybody else that knows more about that, if you want to comment or.
Hi, this is Mila Allen, and I'm from the Grants Milan Rotary Club, and we specifically are the club with that question. We're doing a little bit of reorganization. Our club president, Josephine Hurtado, is also at this meeting. So the information that I just got was in line with my thinking. I'm a retired attorney, that we need to have separate boards to prevent conflicts of interest and just to keep some stability in the board. But my next concern is whether your foundation board can be the same or similar from year to year, or if it has to change the way the club board does.
I have a comment about that, just that stems from my experience in the Rotary Club of Santa Fe, where we have both a Rotary Club of Santa Fe board and a foundation. Mila, I think you identified best practices, and I'm not an attorney, but I don't think there's a Rotary requirement that there not be any overlap or that there be a majority of, in fact, Rotary stays away from club foundations and doesn't have rules with regard to them because club foundations are club foundations.
They're a separate legal entity.
Exactly.
And
So they can,
yeah.
So they have to have separate boards, but there can be overlap.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few foundation boards where one or two of the board members are not members of the club. I mean, the foundation board is going to have its own governing documents and things. And if it's a small club, there could be one or two people who are not members of the club, but they work with the club, maybe they're community partners, something like that.
Now, if you have Rotary in the name of your foundation, then Rotary is going to require certain things. And honestly, I don't know what they are, but you just have to look deeper into that question. If it's a foundation name that has the word Rotary in it, then if Dick Jones is on the line, I bet he has some feedback on that because we went through that in Rotary Club of Santa Fe a while back.
If the club foundation has to remain in control by the club. So you can have one or two people on the foundation board that are not members of the club, but the majority of the membership has to be club members, and the leadership, the president of the foundation, has to remain a club member.
Is there any problem with a member of the executive club, any part of the executive club also being on the foundation board?
No. Matter of fact, the Rotary Club of Santa Fe is organized where the boards are the same. The directors are the same as the trustees. They have a different club or a different foundation president and a different foundation treasurer.
Okay.
So the way the club has structured it, your club president becomes, when he's the immediate past president, becomes the president of the foundation.
Okay.
And then you have a treasurer for the board and a treasurer for the foundation.
That makes sense. And we are actually already doing that. But we're in the process of doing some restructuring. The club's starting to grow again after COVID. So some really positive things are happening, but we just need a little bit more education on some of these issues. And this is a vital one for us because we have a very active foundation.
Yeah, and Donette just mentioned in her pop-up that your foundation should have bylaws separate from the club bylaws that define how you're going to operate.
Exactly.
Hey, Dick.
Yeah.
Dick, this is Don Powell from the West Side. I just wanted to clarify something. The reason that we have a foundation is for tax purposes. The Rotary Club is not a 501(c), so you can't tell people that their donations are tax exempt. But if you have a foundation, according to your rules in the foundation, their donations would be tax exempt. Am I correct?
Yes.
Rotary clubs are not tax exempt.
Our foundation is a 501c3.
And your club is a 501c4.
Is there a minimum number of members required to be on the board for the foundation?
No, as long as it's spelled out in your bylaws.
I think the most
And-
important thing is that we're consistent with what we do and clear.
And your club has to authorize the existence of the foundation.
Yes.
The foundation is a part of the club and cannot function without the authority of the club,
Yes.
and should have provisions within the foundation as to what you're going to do with the money should your club cease to exist. We had a club several years ago in the state that the club stopped functioning, and the club had quite a sum in their foundation. And so you need succession. You need to direction what to do with that money. Either
We need a succession plan.
it goes to a community foundation, it goes to the Rotary Foundation. It can't go to the district governor, but anything else, you can spell out.
Okay.
It seems like oh, I was just going to say, Tom, if you don't mind, like it does seem like there's more than one question on this. Maybe we should have a separate, would there be interest in a separate topic on clubs and foundations, a separate session?
I think that would be really, really useful because it can be a pretty complex topic.
Okay.
I was just going to comment that Donna's had her hand up for a while.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to to get over to Donna.
Go ahead.
So yeah, go ahead, Donna.
I would like to request that one of the clubs, and I'm going to suggest Santa Fe, but what other club might be willing, that has a well-functioning foundation, share your bylaws with other clubs. This is a complex question, and a lot of the clubs, especially the small ones, could really use that assistance that they could perhaps model their foundation bylaws from.
All right, thank you, Donna.
If Santa Fe is willing to do that, I would be greatly appreciative of it.
I think the foundation president is on both the club president and foundation president might be on the.
Kevin is our foundation chair, and so I don't mind speaking for him.
Any other questions, maybe not related to foundations, but just related to club board function that we covered so far? Looks like oh, nope, that was, I thought that was an additional question, but Donna was just offering more information on 501c3s. Thank you, Donna. Other questions? Or other comments from district leaders that are on the line that want to share anything about club function as well? All right. Seems like we're pretty good on that topic. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so hopefully you can you see my screen? Just if you can nod or. Great, perfect, thank you. So now we're going to move over to the breakout sessions.
Jen?
Yes, please.
Do you want to take pictures first?
Yes, thank you, Jeff. So if you're not already on camera, if you wouldn't mind going on camera for just a moment, and Jeff is going to take our picture. And you can go right back off camera if you want to, right after. You don't have to stay on camera.
Can you stop sharing?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone, video on and smiles. Let's just take a second. one more. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so these are the breakout rooms. We have our treasurers with Reg Ryder, public image chairs with Meredith Eisenberg, membership chairs with Kathy Williams, secretaries will go in Donette's room, presidents will come with me, presidents-elect with Jeff Weinrack, and if you're in a role not listed on the screen, you can choose the role that's closest to your current role or wherever you have interest. And as I mentioned before, the breakout room or breakout sessions will probably differ in length by room, so you are welcome to come back and share reflections, especially if you use the whole time. But if you end up being shorter than that and you need to move on with your day, that's okay too. So let me just go ahead and open the rooms. And you should be able to choose. Do you see a breakout icon on your toolbar at the bottom of the screen? You should be able to click that and choose your room.
It'll pop up under the More button.
Thank you.